Hi, and welcome back to Focal Point AFR Talk. Brian Fisher is my name. The program is Focal Point. Number to call if you want to join the conversation, talk about either the Anthony Weiner situation, if you'd like to, you have some kind of reaction, comment, observation about that, and if you would like to react to what's going on in San Antonio, where an ordinance is being proposed there that would prohibit Christians from even running for public office, would prevent a Christian business owner from doing any kind of business, any kind of contract with the city of San Antonio. You wouldn't even have to be a Christian. Just have held traditional moral values at any point in your life. You would be prohibited from doing business with the city or running for office. So if you'd like to react to any of those, weigh in on them. 888-589-8840 is the number to call, 888-589-8840. And you've got these challenges to laws that define marriage as a union of one man and one woman going on all over the place. Here's a story. And by the way, you go to onenewsnow.com. Onenewsnow.com been doing a great job of following this story in San Antonio. Had a story up yesterday featuring some comments from Charles Flowers, the man I just interviewed. So you go to onenewsnow.com. You can stay up with these breaking news stories, and you can trust the news that you get, the stories that are done by our journalists who are part of our news division, our news team at One News Now. You can trust the work that they do. Now, we've got an arrangement with AP, so you're going to have Associated Press stories on there because we want to give you we want to make sure you get as much information as you're looking for. But, and we all know Associated Press cannot be trusted in every detail. You can get some facts from them, and that's a good thing. We want to make that available to you. But for the stories that you can really rely on, and you can count on them being accurate, you can count on them being written from a standpoint that takes the Judeo-Christian value system into account in screening and processing those stories, go to onenewsnow.com. Now in Pennsylvania's got a state law against same-sex marriage. And a county clerk in Montgomery County said he's just going to defy that law. He doesn't care. He's just going to go ahead, issue marriage licenses, and then perform these weddings, even though he has absolutely no authorization under the law to do it. And the Attorney General, Kathleen Kane, she's already said she's not going to defend the law. So you've got this alarming tendency now where you have attorneys general and you have governors who refuse to do their constitutionally required obligation, which is to defend their state laws and their state constitutions. Now, the governor of Pennsylvania, his name is Corbett. He is a Republican guy. He's been sort of a moderate guy, so people don't know if he's going to step up to the plate here or not. He's not doing very well in his favorability rating, so he's got a lot at risk here. And if he chooses not to defend it, then who knows what will happen with that law. 888-589-8840. By the way, you do have a county clerk in San Diego who is challenging an order from the governor to issue marriages licenses to same-sex couples. He is a guy by the name of Ernest Dronenberg, and he's filed a suit against this. He said, look, the governor doesn't have any authority over me on this. My allegiance, my accountability is to the law of the state of California and to the Constitution of the state of California. We've been over this before, but technically speaking, the overturning of Prop 8 applies only in two counties. There were only two couples. They went to one judge who was a district judge who overturned Prop 8. The Supreme Court upheld that ruling or sent it back to that court. But the Prop 8 issue no ruling has been issued on Prop 8 by an appellate court, by an appeals court. It's never gotten to that level in a form that the Supreme Court was willing to accept. So the appeals court has not issued a ruling on this, which means, according to the Supreme Court, Prop 8 is still in force everywhere but those two counties. It only applies to those two couples, and maybe you could stretch it to those two counties. And so this county clerk, Ernest Dronenberg, he is our Rosa Parks. He's not going to go to the back of the bus. He's going to stay right where he is, and he is going to stand up against this tyranny and this imposition of the homosexual agenda on the people of California. But let's go to the phones. Let's go to Lee, Plano, Texas. Lee, welcome to Focal Point. What is on your mind? Lee, Plano, Texas.
Hello.
Hi.
I heard you talking about the Weiner situation, and I was listening to Fox News and him giving his, talking to the people about the situation last night. He avoided saying that, what he was talking about getting forgiveness for was something that happened after people found out about it, and he supposedly repented and said he was sorry, but he continues to do it. But my take on that, as far as his wife supporting him, is that they don't have, well, at least this is my idea of the whole situation. I don't think they have a regular marriage. She is Muslim, he is Jewish, and I think she wants him to obtain that place of power. I think that's her whole agenda, as well as his, finding a job and showing people that he can do it, even in light of what he did. But I don't think he intends to stop. And I think she will continue to support him simply because she does want him to gain that place of power, and through him, she will have more power to further her agenda, which is she has ties with the Muslim Brotherhood. It's been proven that she does through her, I think it's her father, her brother, her mother, her whole family.
Yeah. Her father published a Muslim Brotherhood publication. Her mom is still alive and still active with the Muslim Sisterhood, which is the female parallel to the Muslim Brotherhood. Her mom's still involved in that. Her father's deceased. And Huma Abedin, she wrote for her father when he was running this Muslim Brotherhood journal. So she's locked in to the Muslim Brotherhood. So it is kind of a strange marriage because Anthony Weiner's obviously Jewish. So it's hard not to look at this, Lee. I agree. It's hard not to look at this as sort of a marriage of convenience where, they just sort of almost like a parasitical relationship where each of them is latched onto the other because of what they hope to get out of this relationship, not what they hope to give. And it just seems to me, and Lee, that her reaction as a wife doesn't seem to me to be, I don't know, I'm trying to pick the right word, normal or healthy.
Right, I agree.
I mean, I just can't imagine a wife not being just completely outraged at the possibility her husband is going to drag them through all of this all over again. How can you be so blasé in the face of that? I don't know.
I don't think it matters to her because of their goal in this whole thing.
Well, that makes the best sense to me psychologically. All right, Lee, listen, I appreciate that. Thank you for the call. Let's go to Dwight in Ohio. Dwight, welcome to Focal Point with Brian Fisher. What's on your mind?
Hey, the lady ahead of me just said what I wanted to remind you of is that Weiner's wife is a Muslim.
Yes.
And
hardcore.
Associated with the Muslim Brotherhood, hardcore. She's also one of Hillary Clinton's primary advisors.
Yeah.
And I think her motivation is more political than anything. I read a book by, it's called Islamophobia, The Case for Islamophobia by Shubat, and he's a converted Muslim to Christianity, and he gives some of the background back of how these people think and who she is and all that kind of stuff. And so I think that plays into it more than the fact that she's married to him for convenience.
Yeah.
And
well, you think about the fact, like you pointed out, Dwight, she's the closest aide to Hillary Clinton for years and years and years. And you got to believe she talked this over with Hillary Clinton. And you look at how it's worked out for Hillary and her own personal political ambitions to stay connected to Bill Clinton. She's still Hillary Clinton. She became Secretary of State. She became senator in the state of New York. She's a front runner for 2016. So from her standpoint of her political ambitions, it's worked out for her to be the stand by your man kind of woman. And maybe she gave that advice to Huma, and it's just all political in nature. All right, Dwight, listen, I appreciate that. Thank you. Let's go to Jay in Gray, Georgia. Jay, welcome to Focal Point. What's on your mind?
I was just going to ask a couple of questions about the San Antonio issue. I would like to know how in the world they're going to determine your allegiance to homosexual approval Are they going to have thought police? Are you going to have to take a test in order to do business with the city of San Antonio? Are they going to go research every company past to make sure that all of their officers have never done anything that they thought was offensive?
Well, yeah, and I think you're exactly right. I mean, it gets positively Orwellian here, Jay, because, as Charles Flowers pointed out, if you've ever had any kind of bias, ever in your whole life, and they find that out, you'd be disqualified. So you've ever written a letter to the editor, if you ever even went to a church that took a biblical view of sexuality, you would not be eligible. So they'd start rummaging around. Where have you gone to church? Have you attended? What churches have you attended in your entire life? It's going to start to get, do you read the Bible? Do you believe what's in the Bible? I mean, you're exactly right. It gets positively Kafkaesque and Orwellian. All right, Jay, great question. Last call of the hour. Let's go to Chris in Warner Robins, Georgia. Chris, welcome. What's on your mind?
Hey, just a quick note on the San Antonio ordinance. I don't know if it's been mentioned before, but I think this is just patently unconstitutional because what it's doing is it's setting up a religious test for elected officials.
Yes, exactly right.
So I'm sorry for that. I just started listening to your program today, but this is continually people just disregarding the plain meaning of the language of the Constitution, and so we get ordinances like these that we have to defend against, and this nation just needs to get on its face before God. Our problems aren't because we need to elect conservative politicians. The problem is the church needs to have people on their faces repenting of their own sins, turning from their own idols and looking to God. And when we do that, then God will hear our prayers.
All right, Chris, great call. Thank you for that great encouragement, great challenge there at the end of the hour. That's it for the first hour of Focal Point today. We'll be right back after the news. Don't go anywhere. Focal Point, AFR Talk.